First of all, I want to welcome you to our fifth in a series of virtual assembly sessions from our inaugural virtual assembly training. This is really exciting. We have had about 150 people sign up for a total of about 600 different sessions with different people signing up for more than one. So this is great. My name is Claire Roberts, and I'm a member of the Rotary Club of La Miranda Sunrise, and I currently serve as the district trainer for our district, and I'll be the moderator for today's session. So first of all, I'd like to introduce District Governor-elect Mark Roberts, who's sitting here next to me because our internet seems to not be our friend tonight. So here's Mark.
Good afternoon, fellow Rotarians. So glad to have you join us. We've had 4 really enjoyable and informative sessions, but I'm really excited about this one. One of the things that I want to focus on next year is telling your Rotary story. And this evening we have one of the best storytellers in the whole district. In fact, he's so good, he's written a book. In fact, he's written several books. So I'm really looking forward to having Andre Lewis talk about telling your Rotary story. I hope you'll enjoy it. And again, thanks for joining us.
So, and last but certainly not least, I am excited to introduce today's presenter. As Mark said, Andre Lewis is a veteran, a major airline pilot, a publisher, an author, a husband, and a father of 3 daughters. Andre believes that everyone has a gift, and it's our responsibility to help educate, encourage, and empower people to pursue and achieve their dreams. So without further ado, I will turn the floor over to Andre. Go for it.
That was kind of cool. Made me feel good, huh? I'm gonna share my screen real quick.
We can see it.
Everyone's got it. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for this wonderful opportunity this evening to speak to you. First, giving thanks to Claire and Mark for giving this opportunity, and for all of you Rotarians out there that truly embody what we call service above self. To be a part of a volunteer organization such as this is truly amazing, and I'm so thankful that I got to introduce to this. So without further ado, I'm gonna keep it very brief and keep on moving it forward. Telling your story. We have to telling your club story. Well, I have the why, the how, and the next. My why. This gentleman right here is Don Whitaker. 3 years ago, I was flying a FedEx trip and I was over in Taiwan, and a little jet lag, about 8 hours after flying, I decided to go down for breakfast. So as I was traveling down the elevator, I heard this guy speaking English. So I was like, hey, where you from? You know, me being the social butterfly that I am. And he comes to find out he's from Auburn, California. So as we kept on talking, you know, got to a couple more floors, he said he was on business. And then afterwards, he said he was headed over to Kenya for a water project. I was intrigued. I'm like, what are you going to Kenya for? This water project, what is it all about? Well, he tells me he's part of this organization called Rotary, in which they built some water wells, and it was his job to go over there and to evaluate the process and the project. I'm like, okay, that's kind of cool. So the more he talked, the more I listened, and then I asked him, say, hey, do you have any children or students that are over there in that village that you're going to go visit? And he goes, yeah, we do. I said, well, how many? He says about 300. I said, well, I would like to give you a gift. I would like to give a gift to every child that's in the village. He looked at me kind of strange a little bit and said, okay, what kind of book are you going to give me? And I said, no, it's a children's book. And he says, well, listen, if you bring the books up to Auburn and you want to donate them, I'll make sure they get there. So about 2 weeks later, I was back home. I drove up there to Auburn to his place. I brought in all these cases of books, and he looked at me and says, let me pay you for these. I go, no, you can't. This is my gift. I just want to thank you for the work that you're doing around the world. And for me to have this wonderful opportunity just to be a part of that, that's all I want. So 2 weeks later, he sends me these pictures. This is Don over there doing an evaluation over in Kenya for that water project. Then he shares me this picture here about the Cabrera Bowens Weep Center. And he educated me on not just water, but providing resources for young ladies that have been traumatized, victimized by people within their organization, within their country. You know, people that have been raped, that have been tortured, that have been castigated out without having a lot of resources. Organizations such as this are supported by Rotary. And then lastly, which was the coup de grace, he showed me this picture of all those children getting the books that I gave them. And after we got done with that, he told me, Andre, you need to join Rotary. You're already doing Rotary work. You need to go figure out what it is and join. So that is my why. I looked at how Don shared with me in truly an elevator speech about the importance of what Rotary does. And then what else he did with that, he brought the example of these illustrations and pictures, so I got a chance to actually see that in action. So that was my why. Now, how? Like many of you, we get onto our website for Rotary International, and we can't figure out where we're starting or where we're going to go. It took me a little while to figure out how to look up Benicia Club, and then even longer to figure out how do I reach out to them to talk to them. But fortunately for me, I sent an email to the Benicia Rotary, and then the president introduced me to Sue Fisher-Jones, the lady in red. As soon as I reached out to her, she sent me a quick email and said, hey, Andre, love to hear about what you're doing. I want to have coffee with you. And I'm like, wow, quick response. It happened in less than 24 hours. So we met at a Starbucks, and then I shared with her the story about Don, how he had done all these wonderful things. And I said, hey, does Benicia do some of these things too? And she said, you know what? Our club is truly amazing. You got to come see us to know what we do. She says, but before we do that, I just want to know more about you. So I got a chance to tell her about my dreams, my aspirations, about how I like about literacy, giving books to kids. And she goes, well, you know what? Rotary is a perfect fit. Education is one of the pillars of what Rotary represents. So the mere fact that she was willing to listen to my story and listen to my needs was truly impressive. So as we got done with that, she kept on telling me, next thing you're gonna do is come to a meeting. So I said, all right, great. So I went to the first meeting, and to see people within the organization, such as our superintendent of the school district, we have one person on our city council, members of business members, everyone was so impressive. And the whole part about this volunteer part really struck me. These people were giving up their time and effort and money to support this organization. Next, get people involved. Did they really get me involved? Yes, they did. You know, they're like, hey, Andre, we got this little thing you're gonna do for the Salvation Army. You're gonna ring a bell. I'm like, you know what? All the years I've seen those people ring those bells, I never know who was behind it. You know, I thought it was just an organization, but it comes to find out it was other service organizations supporting that cause. And by doing just this particular activity, open my eyes out to the other people in our community that give. I didn't realize personally that when I used to see this, I thought it was sometimes a sham, or these people keeping the money. But now I know how important these things are, that we support these organizations. Next thing was this. Sue, given my passion about books, connected me with Valero, the refinery, to help me write a grant to pursue my dreams of providing books free to the children in our school district. With her help, we were able to get $20,000, and we provided every third grader with a free book that we created just for them called Let's Steam Ahead, talking about STEM programs. And that was seen here. So on here, you're seeing Rotarians, myself, the city manager, a school teacher, and a business owner, and 2 other individuals. So we as Rotarians go out to tell our story. The biggest thing with the takeaways is the support mark. You know, the thing is, at every opportunity, we have to take that chance to talk to people about this organization. Now, what's sad about it is that the portion that when I talk to people now, now that I'm aware, they think it's still the old white man's club for retirees. And we have to change that. I see so much that we have to offer to so many diverse communities that I think we just haven't done a good enough job by, i.e., telling your story. So the part of telling your story, I think each one of us has to talk to our membership to come up with a way to say something within 30 seconds. That elevator speech that Don gave me on the elevator changed my life. He was passionate, he was encouraging, and then he was listening to what I liked. And when he found out about the kids, he found out a way to engage me into a Rotary activity. The same thing with Sue. When we first met, she didn't do all the talking. She wanted to hear about me. And with her sage wisdom, she listened to what my triggers were, what was important to me, and she incorporated those activities of what we did in our club to bring me on board. And then she helped walk me through the entire process to even assist me with a project that was dear to my heart. Then lastly, we have to get our people involved. Get them involved immediately into our process about what we do and how we do it. Because sometimes in a lot of our clubs, we'll get someone to join, but immediately, a year or two, they're just interested, they see all the other things going on, and then they leave. I say get us involved, immediately find out what they want to do, and get them to work. Okay, here's how that worked for me. So I get to ring the bell for the Salvation Army. Number two, they put me involved with the Interact Club. The next year, they say, hey, Andre, you're going to be part of the Speakers Bureau. And then the third year, they said I'm going to be president. So right now, I don't know if that is the traditional way how this thing works, but it was amazing that this organization would think highly enough of me to give me an opportunity. I call myself the pretend president right now, but playing president is going to be a fun thing, and it's all about being excited to do it. So in this regard, I'm really not really great at this Zoom stuff. I'm all about the personal interconnections. So with me, the three takeaways again is make sure you got to tell people the why. Think about why did you join Rotary? What was the purpose for you doing so? It probably was not building more business connections. It's something personal. So think about your personal why. And then the how. How do we keep people involved? How do we get them to come to our meetings? How do we keep them engaged? And then always think about the next. What is our next step on how to prepare them to be part of Rotary? Giving examples. Social media is a great thing. Many of our clubs are starting to get onto Facebooks, LinkedIn. Like myself, I use my LinkedIn to talk about the positive impact of what Rotary does. Many of you are Facebookers, especially for our clubs. It is one of the greater ways for people to look you up and see what you've done. The bulletin. Our club puts out a bulletin that talks about all of our activities, so we can actually see that on our website, that we get to show that to prospective club members and anyone else who comes to visit us. Then lastly, get the kids involved. When's the last time you had a conversation with your children or any teens about the work that we do in Rotary, that we're not part of Interact? To get our children involved, because that is going to be our next generation of Rotarians, Rotaractors, and Interactors. So without further ado, I try to keep it at the 15 to 20 minutes so we have a lot of questions. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to Ms. Claire for questions.
Thanks, Andre. That was fantastic. So I'm not seeing any questions in the chat box, but does anybody have a question? If you want to ask Andre a question or share your story, please unmute yourself.
Andre, what was the title of that book?
The book that was given to the children in Kenya, or the book that we're talking about that I've done lately?
The lately one.
Oh, the book that I did lately was called Excited to Serve.
Oops. I'm sorry, say it again. I'm sorry.
Oh, see, Richard's got it. Yay!
Wait, where? I can't see it. I can't see it. Who's got it?
It's called, what's it called?
Excited to serve.
Excited to Serve. Here's one.
Put it in the chat.
Yeah, I'll put it in the chat right now.
Okay, great.
Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, Andre delivered my copy personally. It was very, very kind of him.
Yes, you know, that. And
Hey,
then,
when you're DG, you have skills like that. Yes.
yeah, so one person said, one person asked, how do we find people to share our story with?
Oh, I think anywhere and everywhere. I've noticed when I wear my pin, I throw on my little hat, I always talk about an engagement about Rotary. I'm able to intertwine that in almost any conversation that I have with any strange person. Hey, you ever heard of Rotary? You know what we do? We help people. Hey, you know what? Polio is almost gone. You know why? This organization called Rotary helped eradicate polio. What are you doing this week? Well, I got this meeting with some people that are amazing. I got a Rotary meeting. Well, what do you guys do? Well, we think about how we can help our community in doing our service projects. You want to know more? Hey, I bet there's a Rotary in your town. Give me your email, and let me send you a link so I can hook you up so you can talk to your guys that are in your city.
So Joan from Fairfield Sassoon shared that they met at the park today and they found a person interested just hanging out in the park. So, you can find people to tell your story to almost anywhere. I know for La Miranda Sunrise, we've met a lot of people when we're out doing service projects or we build things. So we've built a boat or a trailer, and when we're out selling tickets, we always make an opportunity to show people about what kind of activities and community service projects we do. And we've actually picked up a lot of new members and interested people through those kinds of activities as well. One other thing, Suzanne is asking, share us your project idea to get books in the hands of third graders and involving their parents.
Well, I know this was about telling your club story. So tell Suzanne, I love the support, but I got something for that later to talk about the books. But again, we're just here to talk about this one. Go ahead.
Okay. So then Charlene is asking, are you recommending you tell your personal story to start? And how do you change your personal story to a we Rotary story?
The thing that I've learned and what I've seen so far, and I'm not the expert, again, I've only been here for 3 years, it is individual. You got to know who you're speaking to, know your audience. And in that regard, for me, if it's friends that I know, like I got some neighbors that I've been sharing about Rotary, I haven't been doing a hard push. It's just been a soft push. So what are you doing today? Oh, well, we got this presentation. I got this thing we're doing to support for our golf tournament, or we're raising a fundraiser. So you can do those soft things and let's see how people relate to that. This is cool.
Do you have a good short one? Somebody's asking, do you have a good short general Rotary elevator story?
Well, I tell the story about Don. I tell people, you know what? I didn't know anything about Rotary, had no clue until I met a guy that was helping children in Africa to give them water and to help them. And I just tell them, I said, since I've started to work with this organization, they're doing some amazing things. And if you'd like to know more, let me talk to you about it.
Cool. Kathy Suvia asked, you mentioned listening for triggers. You're obviously very good at follow-up. Do you have any tips for making the connection after an initial meeting?
I think with most people, it's all about integrity. If you show the willingness to come back and reach out to somebody, I think that bodes well with this organization. It's a follow-up. You just got to follow up and make sure that you stay in contact. For example, with Sue Fisher-Jones, immediately when I sent my email, within 24 hours, she was asking for coffee. Once we had coffee, she followed up to make sure I got to the next meeting. After that first meeting, she said, hey, when are you going to be back in town for the next meeting? Because you need to at least be at 2. So the process was kind of walk me through, and they really helped. And that's what I would do for other people that come into our club.
Great. Anybody else who, I'm not seeing any more questions in the chat box. So if anybody wants to unmute themselves and ask a question, please do. You want to unmute yourself? That way I'll know you want to talk.
This is Will Newman from Dunsmuir, and I don't really have a question. I wanted to thank Andre, first of all, for his really wonderful, short, concise, inspiring presentation. And just also to comment on something you said about young people and how important It is, as some of you know, Dunsmuir is a very, very tiny club in a rural community with 1,700 people. Well, you know, it's 1,500 now. So it's not easy to come by members, but we have an 8th grader, just finished his 7th grade, who asked me about 6 months ago, I want to be a Rotarian. How can I become a Rotarian? And he already is a member of our elementary school Interact Club. The reason he asked that is he's been involved with us on service projects all the time. And we have a core group of about, in a very small school, I would say 8 to 10 kids who are always working with us. Their parents know about Rotary. They know about Rotary. They know what we do. And this is what I think Andre was saying, is get the young people involved. And then, you know, we may not have Rotarians from that group because they're too young and they'll move away from our community, but they will become Rotarians later.
Thanks, Will.
I agree.
Thanks for sharing, Will. So Barry typed in because we couldn't hear her. Andre, great job. By the way, your path to leadership is exciting and somewhat common. Please be sure to reach out to her club president, Rocky Gernhardt. I just want to say that his name right. Okay, got that right. So, Joan Grimes, do you want to say something?
Yes, what I was just going to say is that doing the story periodically in clubs is a great thing to do, because especially as you have new members that come in, people don't know other people's stories. And so, you know, it's a great thing. I know a couple of years ago, we were at every meeting having one person tell their story, because we have members that have been in Rotary for a very long time. And it's just a great way to sort of revitalize people, having them tell their story, and so other people understand how service came to them.
Yeah, that's a great suggestion. Charlene, did you have something you wanted to say?
Yeah, I just wanted to ask you, Andre, if you've ever gotten a message of disinterest, and do you just back away? Do you come back in a different way? What do you do?
You know, it's funny you say that. I had a situation. I was going to buy a mirror for my wife during the COVID situation so she could work out at home. So I was getting this customized mirror made. And while I was there, I said, who's the business owner? And the guy's like, he is. I said, oh, good. And we got to talking. Within about 2 minutes, I did my Rotary plug. I'm like, hey, do you know what Rotary is? I'm like, well, I'm going to be the Rotary president here. And maybe as a business owner, maybe you would like to come out and speak to our group. Well, I could tell from his candor and his disposition that he didn't think too favorably of it. So I didn't push it. But during our conversation, we did a couple other things. We talked. I actually gave him a free book for his wife, who was a teacher. And I told him, I said, hey, when school starts, tell your wife to contact me, and I'm gonna come visit her school. That actually got me a free mirror that I was not expecting. Wow. And my point to that story is that as people get to see us in our actions and to witness what we do, then I think we can grow our membership. Because that's truly, to be honest with you, I think one of the biggest things that hurts Rotary, you don't talk about Rotary. You guys hide in a room and you drop out once every quarter, do some type of service project, but you don't tell your story enough. You don't share that. You guys keep it like a hidden secret, you know, that we're keeping the boardroom closed or something like that. You be unabashed, be unafraid, just be proud to say, hey, I'm a Rotarian. This is what we do. And that's how I kind of do what I do.
Joan, did you have another comment? Joan from Fairfield Sassoon, did you have a comment?
Yeah, something we learned at PETS, actually, Andre and I, from our fellow Rotarian who's the incoming president, VJ, in Vallejo. They do what they call their Rotiversary. And so it's just like your anniversary, but it's the anniversary of when you came into Rotary. And during that time, they say either, you know, what's the greatest thing that they've done since they've been in the club, or even just what's the greatest thing you've done in the last year? What's the thing that, you know, really helped you or moved you or whatever in the last year. And that's kind of gives people training about elevator speeches, but and gives them practice, but it's also a great place to find people or recognize, as we say in our club.
Right.
Yeah.
So I thought that was a great idea.
Yeah, that is. Sherry Swim, did you have something that you wanted to ask or comment? Share?
Yes, I did. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Oh, good, because I can't see me, but I don't know what I did. I'm on the rule of 85, and I'm only 29, so I've been in Rotary a long time. And at first I say, Andrew, would you like to move to Paradise? Because we're really struggling right now. But
I don't know.
one thing to do is have 2 or 3 members be active in this, because you don't get along with everybody, and you can plant the idea. And I know Pam and Brian are on, because there's some people I've talked to for, I swear, 10 years, and they finally joined. So don't give up on people.
I agree.
Good point, Sherry. I have a friend who lives here in Orinda with us. He's a college friend. And I've been talking to him about Rotary for 5 years now. And that before I die, that man's going to come to a meeting.
Well, don't give up. I think my longest one was 10 years, and they became president of the club. So don't give up.
Cool. Cool. Well, Frank commented that he likes how you've taken the Rotary message and made it your own, Andre. And Frank says he's a relatively new member and it's pretty new to him. So I think this has given him some great ideas. Well, does anybody else? Susan Grossman, did you have something you wanted to share?
I wanted to ask Andre if he thinks that with COVID requiring more Zoom meetings, although that was pretty neat, Joan, about meeting in a park. But anyway, back to Zoom. Do you think Zoom gives us an opportunity to get more members? You know, like the people who, like a nurse or someone who really just has a break that's this long, not this long.
Well, you know, I'm very transparent, and sometimes I run my mouth too much, and I'm just very blunt. The hardest part that I see is trying to get what we've constantly done and break down the paradigm of what Rotary's always been. I.e., I was suggesting to my group about trying to create a auxiliary membership where this group of individuals that couldn't make our lunch meeting could come meet once a quarter, say on a Saturday, from like 2 to 3:30, to have a social event, have an amazing speaker, someone like, say, from Pixar or Google that I know, to come out to talk to them about the new impact of things going on, change the membership style of finances, instead of being the typical $1,000 that we pay at our club to include meals, to make it where you just pay $175 for your union, not union dues, but for your Rotary dues, and another $25 to the foundation, so we'll all be foundation equipped. When I initially tried to do that, I got a lot of blowback. So with that, I'm just saying for clubs that may consider that, I think it would open up our doors to a lot of people that can't come to our meetings when we have them either in the morning or in the afternoon, during the week at lunch. And then let's be very blunt, look at this call, look at our demographics right now. You know, how many people of color do we have? You know, what ethnicity breakdowns are we trying to reach out to? I don't think we do a good enough job on that. And speaking to some people that I've been talking to, those have been some of the barriers to what they've seen with the organization, is actually trying to find time to, as you said, a nurse who has a very tough schedule trying to figure out how to get involved. But I believe that we just broke it down, I was gonna call it the easing into Rotary kind of idea, just maybe once a quarter. Let you get to meet the other groups, and if you can come by to one of our normal meetings, great. But I'm gonna have to put that on the burner until my club is really ready to address that.
Remember, Andre, you're going to be president next year, so that's always an opportunity to.
Oh yeah, I know. They've already let me know that too. So.
Okay, I don't see anybody else. Does anybody else have anything that they want to share? Oh, Vera, did you have something you wanted to share?
Well, I just wanted to say that from the first time I met Andre, I have just been so impressed with not only his story, but just in his enthusiasm and his confidence and the way that he comes across. And the books are absolutely beautiful. I've seen 2 of them now, Excited to Serve and The Steam. And they're just the best books I've ever seen. The way that they're illustrated, the language in which they're written. I know that our club, Oakley, is very interested in STEAM. So Andre, I'm moving in a different direction.
I got you.
We're,
No
we're
worries.
very interested in talking to you about STEAM. And so I'm just anxious to get those books into the hands of children and get them excited about those topics as well. But I'm just so proud just to know you. And that's really all I wanted to say. I think you're phenomenal.
So Andre, I would have at least thought you would have made a fuller brush pitch to us. You were really a good salesman.
Well, you know what? That's the sad part. I don't market. Val knows this. I don't market. I don't sell. My point is, like, for example, there's a project I'm about to work on now. We did a book for the Vallejo Police Department a couple of years ago, making it better in our community, where police officers speak to every 3rd grader in the school district, give them a book talking about civic responsibility. And at the end of the day, each officer signs that book with their name and badge number. And they tell children, if you ever get stopped by somebody or you ever need any help, tell somebody you know me. So we're going to be reaching out to some national organization to talk about that conversation. So my whole purpose is to provide resources and to provide literary tools to organizations to help them communicate a message. So I thank you guys for your support, but I don't push, I don't plug it. I'm thankful that I got the job that I got flying airplanes. That allows me to do what I want with the books and to give them to whoever I want to for free for the most part when I try to, and work with organizations that would like to help communicate that message. It's good, but no, I don't push, I don't plug. So thank you.
Well, I think, Andre, I unmuted everybody because I think Andre deserves a round of applause from all of us. So if we could everybody could give you a Zoom round of applause. So thank you, Andre, very much for being with us. Thank you for sharing all these great ideas. Thank you for everybody who participated and shared. And we look forward to seeing you hopefully in person, and if not, on another Zoom call in the next few days. Take care. Have a nice evening, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.